Let's welcome in Ian Rappaport. Now we have some breaking news out of Atlanta. What is going down?
Well, the status of head coach Dan Quinn and general manager Thomas Dimitroff is no longer in question for the 2020 season. The Falcons just announcing a couple seconds ago that Quinn and Dimitroff will return for the 2020 season. They are no longer on the hot seat. No changes going to be made for the Atlanta Falcons as far as the head coach and the general manager position go. And this certainly ends a season of uncertainty for both men. Started off so slow, then saw the Falcons make a couple small changes to the coaching staff midway through the season. The defense got a lot better. They have now won 3 straight. This is the direction it was trending when so many people wondered when owner Arthur Blank would make a change. Was it going to be midseason? He held off, he waited, and based on the way they finished, he is keeping both of these guys around. There is, Kay, a little bit of a change in the structure. Both Quinn and Dimitroff will now both report to Rich McKay. He is going to run football operations now, reporting directly to Arthur Blank. Meanwhile, another big change for the Falcons, another one where this is the way it was heading. Raheem Morris has been named defensive coordinator for the 2020 season, assuming that he doesn't get a head coaching job, and he could be a candidate for one of those as well.
Arthur Blank announcing that the Falcons are keeping Dimitroff and Quinn for 2020. Raheem Morris moves up to defensive coordinator. Thank you so much, Ian, for the update there as we bring it back to the breakfast table. 1 game left for these Falcons. This is, a team that comes and plays for Dan Quinn, but I have a feeling, looking at Twitter for about 5 seconds, that Falcons fans aren't going to be too happy about this, some of them.
How come?
Are you guys happy about it? I don't know. I just think people want change and want win, but they, like Ian said, they've won 3 straight, so maybe they are headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I believe in that belief that down the stretch, players will tell you what they should do with the coach. I really do. I think players quit. I think it's not going that great in Jacksonville right now. I think it's going terribly in Dallas. Atlanta Falcons have won 5 of 7 games. They've beaten the Saints. They've beaten the 49ers. And I think they made the right choice today. I think they got to make some changes, especially with their players, but I like they kept DQ.
It's rare you see a coach fire all his coordinators in the offseason, which Dan Quinn did, bring back himself, and then have a losing record, and then say, you're back for next year. But if you look at the season in chapters, the last chapter has been as good as any team has played in the NFL, and those players have responded. Thomas Dimitroff coming back as well. You also kind of look at the landscape of things in the NFL, and it's like, okay, if we're not going to have Dan Quinn here with our veteran quarterback and our veteran wide receiver, who are we going to hire instead? Is there another option? I think that Dan Quinn, they still think there's meat on the bone there. I think they're going to give it another year. Thomas, of course, as well. The interesting thing was Raheem Morris, because I think Ra might get some interviews for head coaching jobs. Guy who played on the offense, coached on the offensive side of the ball, coached on the defensive side of the ball, and was a former coach of the Buccaneers. A lot of buzz around Raheem Morris being a candidate. It's interesting they retained him, but that doesn't mean he's coming back next year. He might get a head job.
Yeah, and even though he agreed to this, he agreed, or they promoted him, he could still leave for a head coaching
job.
Okay.
Yeah, he can take a promotion. If he can take interviews, we'll see if he can get one.
And he took that Bucs job at a very young age.
32.
So I can only imagine what he's like now with the wealth of knowledge and experience after being in the league for some time. I feel like they did it right. Listen, when you go to a Super Bowl, whether you win it or not, it extends your time. It extends your shelf life. I know it hasn't been perfect, but then when you make certain decisions in the coaching staff, that also gives you a little bit more time. And to your point, Kyle, yes, your players will know when it's time to move on, more specifically your superstars. And when you listen to the superstars on this team, they are riding for Dimitroff, they are riding for Quinn, so I feel like this organization made the right decision.
Looking at that division, so Rivera's out, right? So then you maybe want some stability there instead of flipping it over. I love the Saints, everyone knows that. How much longer is that going to go on? How much longer is that dynasty, that team that's usually on top? How much longer is Breeze going to play for? All of those questions. How much longer will Sean Payton stay? All of it, there's a lot going on there. So Buccaneers, who knows with Jameis what's going on. So maybe, one of those 3 teams, the Buccaneers, Falcons, or Panthers, Strays, are going to want to take the opportunity to say, we want to be on top for this division. Let's rebuild a little bit. They're doing it by keeping what they have in place.
Yeah, again, the way the season has if they didn't finish this way, these guys are not coming back next year. Like the 3 wins in a row, and against New Orleans, in New Orleans, in San Francisco, in San Francisco. To get those guys up to play for that, and I think if I'm looking at those 4 teams, I'd feel better with Quinn and Dimitroff and bringing back that whole group than maybe the Buccaneers with what.
Are we doing Pollyanna though? Like to Kay's point, if the Falcons fan wanting change, who's the answer for that 1-7 start? Like why this team the quarterback was not injured. They did not have the decimated injuries. They completely stumbled out of the gates.
Very much Cowboys-esque. You have the talent. Where's the?
And I liked it that they rallied. That's great. But like the fact that they had to is not pretty. Like and they better start fast next year.
Dimitroff staying, Dan Quinn staying, Raheem Morris is the defensive coordinator. Thanks to Ian for the update on that. More GMFB on the Players of the Week over in the AFC. Ryan Fitzpatrick of the Dolphins. Brilliant performance. He's scary. Over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And they've got the Patriots in Foxborough this weekend. Draymond Jones of the Denver Broncos with 5 tackles. A brilliant 2.5-sack performance by him. A bright spot for this Broncos team in a lost season in the AFC West. And on special teams, our guy, Naeem Hines, friend of the show, 2 punt return touchdowns, first time since 2012. You love Naeem Hines.
Naeem Hines is my guy. I love that dude. One of the most affordable superstars in the league, as told by him. All right, let's go NFC players. Let's break this on down. How about running back Saquon Barkley? 189 yards of rushing. Yeah, 4 receptions for 90 yards and 2 TDs. How about that for filling up the stat box? Chandler Jones, he's 3.5 sacks away from breaking Strahan's record for sacks in a season. He has 6 tackles, 4 sacks in this, and 2 forced fumbles. He's been all over the place this season. In special teams, Robbie, as good as gold. He had the game winner, as we know, has been very crucial in the victories for the 49ers this season.
Nate,
How about that?
I heard a rumor.
Okay.
I heard a rumor. I don't know if this is true or not, honestly. Is Chandler Jones coming on our show today? I can't find. Is he?
This is true. This is true. Chandler Jones is supposed to be coming on the show.
Okay.
And
Devon Kennard, yesterday on the show, Lions Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, said he's the best defensive player. He's not getting enough love.
They said he should win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to teams that aren't winning, there's always this stigma that their superstars aren't as talented as some of the superstars on winning teams. It doesn't matter. Sometimes circumstances, they dictate how much shine you get. And right now, there isn't a lot of shine in Arizona. I mean, aside from the sun. But Chandler Jones, he should be talked about with some of the best in the game.
Well, he comes from such an athletic family, so he's been a stud his entire life. And around that, he is a Super Bowl champion playing for the Patriots. So you got to get in his head about that as well. So he'll be on the show.
He'll be on the show. It's going to be good.
And he's going to last player of the week.
For him to have 3.5 sacks in this game and pass Michael Strahan, who's an absolute legend. Like, you never know what that can do for his career. Think about it. You're already a Super Bowl champ.
Yeah.
Your stats are through the roof. I mean, this could be part of his resume that we're talking about Hall of Fame. You know what I mean?
How do you think Strahan, how do you think he feels about that?
He loves it. He loves it. Records are meant to be broken.
Yeah, I feel like Strahan and Kelly here right now. I'll send it over to Peter and Kyle. They are downstairs on the streets. Be careful. Go.
Hello.
Guys,
we're ready.
We're out here on the streets, and we're in front of a subway station. People are coming all out. They're excited. We've got the holiday spirit here in New York. What's up, big man?
That's a nice man. He smiled.
We're doing a segment we call The Express.
Hey, here we go. Here we go.
5 segments, 5 questions, 30 seconds total. It's a debate segment unlike anything you've ever seen on sports television outside in New York City. Starting off with the Dallas Cowboys. Segment 1. Cowboys have been up and down all season, Kyle. They need a win in Week 17, and they need the Eagles to lose to the Giants. Are we done talking about the Cowboys for the rest of the year in 2019? Remember, New Year's is next week on Tuesday. Are we done for 2019 talking about the Cowboys after today?
Never done. Never done. Because if the Cowboys win and get in, then it's an eruption, and they survived, and they did all this. And, Peter, if they miss the playoffs, then we have to do the whole Jason Garrett watch and the coaching talk. We will talk about them more than teams that actually made the playoffs. I feel like Sean Payton and Kyle Shanahan will get talked about less than Lincoln Riley and Urban Meyer. That's how it's going to go this week.
I actually think the otherwise. I think if the Eagles do get in, and then suddenly we're doing this Eagles run again, and we're going to shift our focus from Cowboys to maybe some other 31 teams. I think we're ready to move on and maybe Brady and Mahomes and Lamar.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think we're done with Cowboys.
God willing, Peter, let's talk about someone we haven't touched on much this week. Marshawn Lynch returned to football and to Seattle this week. So, Peter, I want to know, a couple of venerable guys everybody looks at, everybody's watched for years. Whose career would you, Peter Schrager, rather have? Marshawn Lynch or Frank Gore? 30 seconds, go.
Oh, 2 guys who are going to have heated Hall of Fame debates. And if you're a 49ers fan watching this, you're thinking, oh, God, remember the goes. I'll take Frank Gore.
You want Gore?
I'll take all of the years of dominance, always being in the top 5, being on the all-time list, and always being relevant. Marshawn had some great years, had the Super Bowl rings, but was up and down those last few years. Give me Frank Gore over that sustained 2 decades nearly of football dominance.
The reputation's so different. You know, like everyone's respected. Like, I feel like Marshawn, he comes in a room and it's like, that's Dave Chappelle. I feel like Frank Gore walks in and it's like, it's Seinfeld. You know, like we all love him and everything, but like it's just a little bit of a sizzle factor. I'll go with Marshawn.
Marshawn or Gore, what do you guys think at home? Career you'd rather have? Moving on to segment 3 on The Express.
Let's go.
Redskins fans, hide your eyes this weekend because 2 former Redskins quarterbacks are going to be starting for playoff teams in Week 17. Kirk Cousins is going for the Vikings. Robert Griffin III is going for the Ravens. So looking at those 2 former Redskins quarterbacks, if you're an